Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Deathedge's Wrestling Corner. I guess you can say this is a special Tuesday edition because it's not every day that we get to talk about Super Smackdown Live. Woo! Typically, these Super Smackdown Lives are not very super, and though I do not think this show was super, I have to say I think it was a pretty respectable show, better than I expected. And also, despite having a 20-man battle royal, it had six matches, which is very impressive for SmackDown. And none of them were really major squashes, which makes it all the more impressive. Though there was one squash match. So, let's just get on with the show. Tonight, we opened up with a party. Party in the USA. Okay. Before I go any further, I am not a Miley Cyrus fan. I do not know why that song jumped into my head. I apologize for using a Miley Cyrus song in a wrestling themed show. Anyway, it had all the superstars there. Some of the ones I saw who I thought was Zack Ryder, but I couldn't really identify who he was. I saw that troll Hornswoggle. Saw Teddy Long, saw Santino. It was pretty funny. Teddy Long said that told them not to worry if they make a mess because they found someone to clean it up. And Eve is apparently, I guess, brown nosing Teddy or something. Or no, I'm guessing Teddy made her do this. And she was wearing a maid's outfit, all white by the way, which I will get into a little later. Just a little, because it was pretty funny, and yes, she looked very angry. And Santino shows up getting ready to light the grill with the Cobra. Ugh, I'm really getting sick of that thing. But Kane walked up, and he did his usual, the taunt he usually does in the middle of the ring to set fire to the grill. So it was a relatively funny opening segment. They run through the 20-man battle royal and also bring up that Michael Cole's interviewing AJ later tonight. And then to kick off the show, we have Ricardo Rodriguez introducing Alberto Del Rio. And he says that he's here to talk about something more important than America. And of course, that there's only one thing more important, and that is Alberto Del Rio. He basically says he will beat Sheamus and send him crying back to Ireland. And that Sheamus is a hooligan and a common peasant like the rest of the WWE universe. And he basically goes on and on and on and talks about how the Day-Day universe makes him sick and how after Money in the Bank, Sheamus is going back to where he belongs. Luckily, he didn't bring up anything about his destiny. That's what I was sort of waiting for him to go for. But then Del Rio, this actually gets kind of funny. He gets out of the ring and tells everyone to begin showing him their papers. And he actually does call security on one guy, but Sheamus comes out there and attacks Del Rio. But after a little bit of help from Ricardo, Del Rio manages to beat up Sheamus. He eventually puts Sheamus's head in like the engine thing and begins slamming the hood of the engine on his head. It was a Rolls Royce as always, by the way. It's rare to see Del Rio not have a Rolls Royce. I personally think they're overrated, but after a commercial break, we saw a replay of what just happened. And we see Sheamus, who is busted open. He was busted open just a little bit. It wasn't a gnarly cut, but it was nice enough. Gnarly enough. And then we get a mixed tag team match between Oksana and Antonio Cesaro versus Layla and the Great Khali. And the action between Layla and Oksana was decent enough, but it was a relatively short match. Layla and Khali got the win after Layla nailed Oksana with a neck breaker, and Oksana sold it kinda sick-like her knees were bent instead of her falling on her butt like a lot of people I see with the neck breaker do. But I haven't watched a whole lot of Layla matches, but I'm guessing that might just be how people sell her neck breaker. And I'm not really going to talk about how the action between Cesaro and Khali because nothing too big happened with them. Khali's still just a guy who slaps and slams. That's basically all he can do. So then backstage, Cody Rhodes talks about how the board of directors gave him another Money in the Bank qualifying match, and Teddy Long tells him that's going to be up against Christian. And Cody gets a little mad, but then after a commercial break, Cody and Christian have a very good match, just as good as all their other encounters so far. And Cody eventually wins after reversing the kill switch into the Crossroads. And of course Cody is pretty happy about that. I mean, why wouldn't he be? I'm glad to see that they finally let Cody get a win over Christian. I've been seeing rumors that he might be the guy who wins Money in the Bank. And I'm always skeptical when approaching Money in the Bank rumors. I guess I'll talk about that probably Friday, since Friday will be my news day, I guess. But for now, I'll just leave it at I'm always a little skeptical about Money in the Bank winning rumors. So then we go back to the party, and Zack Ryder asks Teddy if he can DJ, and he says that he has all the bands, you know, Bieber, NSYNC, I think Backstreet Boys, basically adding on to his little pop boy bandish gimmick. So then Heath Slater says that he's going to be the entertainment for the party, and begins singing about how he's the one-man band, and everyone throws food at him. So then Ryder asks who wants to fist pump, and they all cheer, and then they begin playing Brodus Clay's theme music, and Brodus, Naomi, and Cameron all come in, and everyone starts dancing. And I have to say, the party was pretty well done. It was better than your typical party seen in WWE, but it was a nice touch, I guess. It didn't really add much to make me think that this is really a special episode. That's my only real complaint, but other than that, it was a nice little segment to have. So next, we get another Money in the Bank qualifying match. Alex Riley, didn't get an entrance versus Dolph Ziggler. It was a surprisingly good match. I thought that they would just have Riley job out, but they let Riley fight back, but eventually Ziggler hits the zigzag in 1, 2, 3. And Dolph gets into the Money in the Bank qualifier for the World Heavyweight title. And then before commercial, we see Michael Cole's interviews with AJ. So then Michael Cole says that... Oh, okay, wait. I'm sorry. After commercial, Michael Cole invites AJ out there. And he kind of keeps interrupting her. Like when he finally does ask his question, he asks what the heck was she thinking when she shoved CM Punk onto Daniel Bryan and sit them both through a table. And then Cole answers it for her, saying that she wasn't thinking and that she's just a teenage girl, or well, in a troubled little girl, and that the board of directors made a mistake making her referee for the match. And then Cole begins hitting on her, after saying she's a teenager, by the way, which makes this beyond creepy, and says, hey, do you want to have maybe a former war correspondent turn the voice of the WWE? And he opens up his jacket saying, you can have all this, AJ, and it's really, really creepy. And then Daniel comes out there cutting off Cole and says that he knows AJ will do a great job and that she only meant for Punk to go through the table. And then Punk came out there and told Cole to get the heck out of the ring, which Cole eventually did, but he tried to protest. And then Punk says that he isn't just going to pretend that this never happened, unlike Daniel, and that he isn't going to suck up to AJ just because she's the referee. And Punk says that he's worried about her and that she's not in the right mental state. And then Bryan said, oh, bull, or something like that. and begins saying that Punk is full of it and that he's just being passive aggressive, pretending like he cares, but that Daniel is the one who really cares. So then Bryan and Punk are about to act like they're going to fight, but then AJ separates them. And then AJ just grabs Bryan and starts lip locking him and begins really kissing him, like real passionate like. And Punk looks a little sad and then leaves. And then AJ follows him out of the ring, spins him around, and begins making him out. And I do have to point out that initially it didn't seem like Punk was very interested, but then after a while I think he was like, well, I might want to look a bit more invested in this kiss, and begin really lip-locking back. And then AJ just skips off while Daniel and Punk just both look on with a look that says, what just happened? Two things. One, this is just more proof that AJ's stealing plays out of Eve's playbook. And two, the reason why I really hope that she's actually going to pick Daniel by the end of this, if she picks either of them, because at this point I'm beginning to think that that's a very possible third option. The fact that she might pick neither of them. I want to be Daniel because, I don't know why, but I just buy Daniel as being the more caring guy. I mean, Punk comes off like more of the, cool, I got a girlfriend, awesome, I got going on. Bryan seems like the one who would actually go the extra mile, even though they all say that he acts like a jerk, even though I know he's a heel and he acts like a jerk. Also, in the interest of fairness, I do feel that this should be pointed out. Bryan did still try to help AJ first. I know Punk, you could say, went a little bit extra when he actually got up in front of her, but Bryan was there first, dang it. Ultimately, I just think Bryan's the more interesting choice to begin with. I think his character would make more interesting playoffs on what AJ's current character is. Anyway, after that we get a six-man tag with Camacho, whatever, Drew McIntyre and Hunico versus, before the match starts, Santino comes out there and he introduces Sergeant Slaughter and, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And it was a okay enough match. At one point, Duggan hits his little clothesline 3-tackle stance thing. And then Sergeant Slaughter locks in somebody. I'm not 100% sure, but he did lock someone into his Cobra clutch. And then Morella hit Hunico with the Cobra for the pinfall, getting them the win, and they begin doing the trumpet, and Sergeant salutes, and Duggan starts marching. So then when we rejoin the party, we get to learn that Lil Jimmy can't hold his water. And Damien Sandow, he unplugs the sound system at one point, and everyone gets mad. And Sandow begins talking about how this is not what the forefathers had in mind when they won the American Revolution. And how they're basically all acting silly. That's basically what he was trying to get across. And then Ryder says, if you don't want to be here, just leave. Sandow attacks him, but Ryder gets the best of him. But just as he's about to dump punch all over Sandow, Sandow ducks, and the punch gets all over Eve, and her dress is ruined, and you can kind of see through it, as someone pointed out. I wasn't paying attention to that, because I'm not a pervert, for the most part. So then the squash match, match number 5, the ultimate filler match, Kurt Hawkins with Tyler Rex versus Ryback. I'm just going to put it like this. Ryback kills him, shell shock, feed me more! So then we see another replay of what happened between ADR and Sheamus. And we go to commercial after John Cena makes his entrance. The first people to come out were Del Rio, Kane, Swagger, and then Cena. Oh, and Long talked about how he had a great time. And before saying, it's time for the Battle Royal main event. So then, 20-man Battle Royal. I am not even going to try to do a blow-by-blow for this. All I'm going to say is basically it came down to Kane and Ryder. And it was a relatively dramatic ending, relatively, because I say Kane and Ryder like had a little exchange. Like Ryder was about to hit the Rough Rider, but Kane wrapped his hand around his throat and went for the choke slam, but Ryder got free and then got towards the ropes. Kane charged, Ryder held the ropes down, sent Kane tumbling over. This is big man battle royal syndrome. When it comes down to a big man and a little guy, or smaller guy, or typical heavyweight guy, as the final two in a battle royal, you always know it's going to be, odds are, unless they actually decide to go for what would probably happen in real life, the smaller guy is going to end up winning. The most notorious example for this in my mind is when it came down to the Royal Rumble between Big Show and Chris Benoit, and Chris Benoit eliminated Big Show, and I think just about everybody knew Chris Benoit was going to eliminate Big Show. By that point, it was pretty obvious that Benoit was going to be able to eliminate Big Show. And every time a big guy is the last member of a battle royal, he ends up getting tossed out of the ring. There are a couple exceptions, like I know The Undertaker won one Royal Rumble and he can be considered a big man, but 9 times out of 10, the big man's going to end up losing. And I kind of hate it because it takes away all predictability from a main event. I mean, from a battle royal, because obviously battle royals are not always the main event. But yeah, Ryder gets to be the GM for next week's Smackdown, which is going to be awesome, and I actually called this before the match happened. I'm beginning to think I might need to start making predictions for matches that were already announced, though, because lately I've been on a bit of a roll, and I kind of want to share that with you guys. Those who care, anyway, because I know some people are like, I don't care about predictions, and some people probably don't like the fact that I add commentary in my opinions to recaps, because I know a lot of people don't like that either. Oh well, live with it. So, tonight's Smackdown, it was a pretty enjoyable show. I surprisingly liked it. I did not find a minute of it where I thought it was dragging on and I was bored. I was into the whole show. I'm sure there's some people who probably didn't like tonight's Smackdown, but I, for one, really enjoyed it. And maybe it's because it's on a Tuesday, though. Wrestling doesn't happen every day on a Tuesday. And plus, I've been in a good mood almost all day. So I was probably going to enjoy anything WWE fed me tonight. So tonight, the match of the night, I'm going to go Christian versus Cody Rhodes. The only other match in the running was the 20-man Battle Royal, but it was a bit too predictable of an ending. Granted, the Cody Rhodes Christian one had a bit of a predictable ending, but the truth is, Battle Royals are usually not very good, like, matches. They're just really exciting matches. There is a difference between a good match and an exciting match. The flop of the night, I'm not going to say the AJ segment, even though I'm really tempted to, but the thing is, it was kind of a segment, like it was okay, but it did kind of help recapture the AJ, Bryan, Punk match for me. I'm going to say the flop of the night was probably a part of it, though, because of when Cole began hitting on her. And then the shock of the night, nothing too overly shocking. I guess I'm going to reach out here, but the fact that they did that punch bowl thing with Eve wearing an all-white dress, I never would have suspected that they would do something like that. Especially with how PG-oriented WWE is, because I know little kids just had to notice that you could see Eve's underwear. Of course, I guess it's part of the embarrassment factor, and the point was to humiliate Eve, the hostky, if you will. And so, I can't believe it, but that's pretty much it. I've covered everything that I've really wanted to cover. The only thing that I did miss by accident, because I just remembered this part, was at one point during the Oksana, Antonio Cesaro Khali Layla match, and I'm sorry I missed it. I'm sorry I'm adding it to the very end of this. But at one point, Booker T said that I wouldn't take my girlfriend out here, man. That is not a smart thing. You get personally involved. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? I'm sure if you're like me, you remember All Hell King Booker, where Booker would bring Charmel out there every week. Talk about being a hypocrite, Booker. Because you used to bring your wife out there every single week. Hypocrisy aside, though, tonight's night was very good. The commentators weren't annoying in any way. Nothing really ruined the show. It wasn't a great show because there was no real great match. There was only a couple good ones. So tonight, nice solid show. And now I cannot wait for TNA Impact on Thursday because WWE's put on a decent show and a good show, and I'm sure Impact's going to continue the trend as long as they continue to go on the track that they've been going since the start of this year. So yeah, I will see you hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully this does not have any upload issues and will be uploaded by the end of the night, or at least by early tomorrow morning. But if not, I'll just have to live with it. I've been having a lot of upload issues lately. Just a tip of advice, I think the fact is, if you get on a PS3 and you're trying to upload on YouTube, it's not going to end well. Just a warning for anyone who wants to upload but also wants to be on their PS3 while they upload, it's not a smart move to do. So yeah, this is Deathedge finally signing off. Sorry for dragging on, but I want to at least get over 20 minutes. That's my goal on these videos. I want to have at least 20 minutes at minimum. Because I don't think that if I get... Never mind, I'll explain it tomorrow, I guess. Although I'm sure you guys probably don't care. So yeah, this is me finally signing off.